Hey everybody, Console Collector here. 2022 is officially wrapped up. That's right, we're on to 2023. So for today's video, we're going to take a look at my top 5 favorite games that I played in 2022. Now to be clear, these aren't games that necessarily came out in 2022, they're just games I played in 2022. One last thing before we get started, I do have a few honorable mentions I'm going to feature in this video as well. With all that said, let's take a look at my top 5 favorite games I played in 2022. So for number 5, we have Pocky and Rocky Reshrined for the Nintendo Switch. Pocky and Rocky has been a series that I've really enjoyed since I was a kid. I used to rent the original one on Super Nintendo from my local video store when I was a kid, and I really loved it. It's a really hard game, but it's also a really fun game. I've managed to collect a couple of Pocky and Rocky games over the years, including the Game Boy Advance one, so when I first heard that Pocky and Rocky was being remade for the Nintendo Switch, I was really excited. I wouldn't necessarily call it a full remake, but it's definitely a lot cleaner, runs nice, and still looks great. Something that we don't see a whole lot of in today's modern gaming is some good old-fashioned couch co-ops, and I can say that Pocky and Rocky Reshrined is a really fun, awesome couch co-op game. I've played this game alone, I played it with my kids, I played it with some friends. It really is just a great couch co-op game. I actually 100% completed this game. Like I said, it's really hard, but it's so fun and addicting that you just want to keep going back. I really like how they added so many different characters in this game as well, so there's a bit of a variety change up in the characters for the gameplay. I really like how they have it so you can continue from the stage you died on, because honestly, for my kids, this game was really challenging, and it was nice that we didn't have to restart the entire game every time they got a game over. Aside from all the different characters you can get, there's a handful of different power-ups you can get as well. You can get shields, different kinds of weapons. We've got spread shots, single shots. There's even like these little lasers you can unlock later on. Just so much variety in the gameplay that makes it easy to pick up and play through again and again. I enjoyed this game so much that I actually bought the game twice. I bought a standalone copy to play until my pre-order came in for the collector's edition, and the collector's edition is super cool. Came with a lot of neat stuff for Pocky and Rocky fans. I actually did an unboxing of that video recently, so go ahead and check that out if you want to see what came with the collector's edition. So whether you get the standalone copy or the collector's edition, I highly recommend you check out Pocky and Rocky Reshrined. It's definitely one of my favorite games I played in 2022. Number 4, we have Resident Evil Village, the Gold Edition for the PS5. Initially, I wasn't even going to include Resident Evil Village on this list. I didn't really enjoy the main story that much. I found it a bit of a struggle to get into. Nothing really stood out as a super good game to me. However, the DLC is what put this game on the list. The game's fine on its own. It just didn't grab me like most Resident Evil games I played. Like the Resident Evil 2 remake that I played a few years ago, I really enjoyed that. That was great. This one was just good. It just did its job. The beginning of Resident Evil Village really felt like Resident Evil 4 to me, and honestly, I know this is an unpopular opinion, but Resident Evil 4 isn't my style of game. I beat Resident Evil 4 in the GameCube back in the day, and I played it again a couple years ago just to give it another shot. And again, it's fine. I don't think it's the greatest Resident Evil game. It just wasn't for me. And that's how I feel about Resident Evil Village. You know, castles and old times like that and vampires and like weird monsters and stuff. That just isn't really my thing. I love zombie games and traditional kind of horror. And I just didn't find Village that appealing to me. Again, it's a fine game, but it really wasn't what I look for in a horror game. Now, with that said, the savior for Resident Evil Village is the DLC, in particularly the Shadow of Rose DLC. My goodness, the Shadow of Rose DLC is amazing. The beginning part of it, where you're finding all the masks and all that stuff, felt like classic Resident Evil. You know, you got the pieces, the puzzles you got to solve, creepy things all here around. It felt like playing a classic Resident Evil game, and I loved it. Another part on the Shadow of Rose DLC is the doll section, you know, with all those creepy dolls and those mannequins. Like, I don't want to have too many spoilers here for you guys, but holy cow, the mannequin part of Shadow of Rose DLC, that was just true classic horror. That's the kind of horror I really enjoy. Anybody can get scared from jump scares, but I just love the scary, tense atmosphere of a game, and Shadow of Rose DLC has that, especially the mannequin section. I was genuinely just on edge and scared of that section there. Like, I was really tensed up, trying to figure it out, trying to figure out the puzzles, the pressure of the mannequins and stuff. It was just fantastic. So yeah, the Shadow of Rose DLC is a huge part of why Resident Evil Village is on my top 5 favorite games I played in 2022. Number 3 spot, we have Cuphead for the Nintendo Switch. I put off playing this game for many years, simply because there was no physical release of it, and me being a collector as I am, I wanted a physical release before I got the game. Well, the game came out this past December, and I've been playing this game like crazy. Not necessarily beating the game, but I've been playing it like crazy, because this game is hard, and I mean dang hard. You're replaying a level a lot. It's pretty much like a pattern memorizing game. That's how I've been getting through it. And I haven't been doing it alone. I've actually been playing this game fully with my older kid. Just me and him playing through it together like father and son. I don't want to beat this on my own. I want to share this experience with him. So we've been doing it together. And yeah, it's been a struggle. Normally he gives up on hard games. You know, he's a new age gamer. He just can't handle the struggle of hard games. But this one, he's been a real trooper. He's been fighting through the stages with me, replaying till we beat it. And I get to give him props for that, because this is definitely not his style of game. There was one summer where I offered him $50 to beat A Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past on the Super Nintendo, and he gave up after the first like 15 minutes because he didn't know what to do, and he said the graphics were bad. Even when we first put in Cuphead and I said, hey buddy, do you want to play Cuphead? And he's like, it looks bad, it looks old. I'm like, just give it a chance. I think you're going to enjoy it. And weeks later, he's been playing it a lot with me. He's like, hey dad, when can we play Cuphead again? So yeah, he's really enjoying it. Despite it not being a modern looking game, he's having a ton of fun with it. If for some reason you haven't played Cuphead, I think this game is awesome and you really should give it a try. It's a shooter basically, kind of like a shmup almost. It's just something about it is fun, kind of like Pocky and Rocky. It's just fun shooting out enemies, loading them up with bullets and stuff like that and trying to take them out. It even has sections where it changes up. So there's boss fights, and there's platforming sections as well. And then there's even ones where you turn into an airplane and it becomes like a full shmup kind of deal there. You can upgrade weapons and get different kind of power-ups and all that stuff, and abilities and charms. And there's even a girl Cuphead now alongside Cuphead and Mugman. So yeah, lots of variety in this game that gives it some great replay value. That is, if you can beat it, of course. This is another one that I pre-ordered the special collector's edition, the Marionette edition, but I wanted to get the standalone version just so I can play it now, because I've been excited to play Cuphead. I've heard great things about it, and now that I have played it, I can say it's definitely one of my favorite games I've played in 2022. Before we get to the number 2 spot, let's take a look at some honorable mentions. We're just going to take a real quick look at each of these honorable mentions, so no gameplay or anything like that. Just going to briefly discuss why I enjoyed these games. First honorable mention is Journey to Silas for the NES. This was a really fun kind of action platformer run and gun. It was actually supposed to be a Terminator game, but then they lost the licensing deal and it became its own thing. And it's still really great. It has Terminator vibes for sure, but it's just a really fun game. I actually never even heard of this game until it came in a retro game lot that I picked up earlier this year. I feel like this game flew under the radar because it had a weird name. I've seen a lot of weird name games in the past that didn't do well simply because of the name choice. Despite the odd name choice, it's a really fun game, and that's why it's an honorable mention on today's video. Now we have Chrono Trigger on the Nintendo DS. Yes, this was my first time ever playing Chrono Trigger. I've been meaning to play this game for years. I have a good friend that loves this game, and he always says, you gotta play Chrono Trigger, you gotta play Chrono Trigger. So 2022 was the year I finally did it. I opted to play the DS version for a couple of reasons. First of all, the portability. I can just pick it up and play it. I can bring it to work, or if I'm just on the couch, I can just pick it up and play. That's what I love about portable gaming. Another reason why I chose the DS is because I can just close the DS and it can go in sleep mode. With the Super Nintendo, you have to save, reboot it, and I just didn't want to deal with that, and I didn't want to be tied to a TV. I just loved the fact that I could play it anywhere. I had high hopes for this game, and don't get me wrong, it was great, but it wasn't my favorite RPG I've ever played. I see why people love it, but for me personally, it was kind of just middle of the road. I didn't absolutely fall in love with it. There's actually other RPGs I enjoyed more, but it was still a pretty solid game, and I'm glad I finally was able to play it and experience it in 2022. Next honorable mention is Grim Fandango for the Nintendo Switch. I first heard about Grim Fandango from an old gaming magazine when I was a teenager. I saw these unique skeleton-looking characters on it, and I thought, that's a really cool game, I want to play that. However, it had been locked to PC gaming for years. It's now available on modern consoles. I have it for the PS4 actually, but then shortly after I got the PS4 version, it was announced for the Switch, so I picked it up for the Switch. I popped it in my Switch Lite, and I've been playing through it on there. It's nice just to pick up and play portably. It's an old point-and-click kind of adventure game that was on a PC, so it's definitely a little bit dated, but from what I played so far, I'm really enjoying it. I haven't fully beaten it yet, but for the amount of hours I've sunk into it, I've enjoyed it. It has some really great puzzles. There's a few parts that I'm really stumped on and scratching my head, but I've managed to figure it out. It's got a nice bit of challenge, and there's some great humor in it as well. I found myself laughing at this game more than once. I really appreciate how some companies bring these old classic games to modern consoles, because without that, I never would have had a chance to play Grim Fandango. Next honorable mention is Super Bomberman R. Definitely giving a lot of love to the Switch this year if you haven't been able to tell. This game doesn't get a lot of love. I don't know why. You can do up to 8-player Bomberman, and it's a great party game. Almost every game night that I hosted in 2022, Super Bomberman made it to the TV. We found ourselves playing this game over and over and over simply because up to 8 people can enjoy it, and it's such a simple concept game that even non-gamers can enjoy this. It's timeless, classic Bomberman fun that you can enjoy with friends and family. That's why it's an honorable mention in this video. Next up, we have Days Gone. Yep, Days Gone again. I really need to stop playing this game. In 2022, I played this game for my 5th time 100% complete. Yes, you heard me right. I've completed Days Gone 5 times now, 100%, on different difficulties each time I play. This year, I did it on the hardest difficulty, and guess what? I enjoyed the heck out of it again. I wanted to break in my brand new PS5 with a game that I love and enjoyed, so Days Gone was the first game I played on PS5. This time around, Days Gone has looked better than ever. It ran great, looked beautiful. I really enjoyed my playthrough of Days Gone on the PS5. There isn't a whole lot I can say about Days Gone that I haven't said in videos before. Basically, it's one of my favorite games of all time. I love it so much that I just can't stop playing it. Don't listen to the bad reviews that this game got when it first launched. I have no idea how someone could not like this game. This game is truly phenomenal. I have noticed more and more people talking about Days Gone and having positive things to say about it, which is great, because maybe we'll actually see a Days Gone 2 one day, which would be awesome. For now, I guess I'll have to just keep playing Days Gone over and over and over. But I'm not going to do it in 2023. That's my personal goal. Do not play Days Gone in 2023. I've done 5 playthroughs already. I need to play some other games. My backlog is huge. So yeah, no 2023 Days Gone for me. At least that's how I feel right now. EDF! EDF! Earth Defense Force 5 is another honorable mention in today's video. I love the Earth Defense Force series. The games are a ton of fun, just simple, crazy fun. I've talked about this series before. Well, in 2022, I actually had a chance to play the 5th installment of EDF. If I was going to do a top 6, this would have been the 6th slot for sure. Now, it's a great game. I had a ton of fun with it, put lots of hours into it. However, I didn't enjoy it as much as Insect Armageddon and even the remake on PS4, EDF4. Those ones I enjoyed more. I don't really have a reason why. EDF5 was, like I said, great. It ran nice. It looked great. It just wasn't as good as those other ones in my opinion. But still, it's an honorable mention because it was a ton of fun. And in 2023, I'm hoping to play Earth Defense Force EDF Iron Rain. Next honorable mention is Dead Island, the Game of the Year edition for the Xbox 360. I beat this game. I enjoyed it. It was fine. I think my experience was hurt because the people that made Dying Light made this game, and Dead Island to me felt like a more basic version of Dying Light. I'm sure Dead Island was revolutionary when it came out, but in 2022, it's a bit dated, and it was lacking some features that I was used to in Dying Light. So, not a bad game. I enjoyed my experience, so that's why I just wanted to give it an honorable mention. Dead Island 2 has been announced So perhaps that one will be more like Dying Light, and I'll enjoy it a little bit more. Another quick honorable mention is A Way Out for the Xbox One. I mentioned earlier how we don't have many couch co-op games. Well, this was a really awesome couch co-op game. Myself and my good friend Tyler, we beat this game together. Good old-fashioned couch co-op. It was a great experience. We did have a lot of fun working together, getting out of prison. It did have a crazy twist ending, which really shocked me. It was just fun to grab a good friend, sit down, and beat this over a few gaming sessions. My only gripe about the game is it was just way too short. That's all. But still a good experience. That's why it's an honorable mention in today's video. Another quick honorable mention is Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. This is another game that we'd bust out for game nights. We're having a lot of fun with this. It's nice that they added new DLC courses, so it really breathes fresh life into an older game. I love that they're bringing back classic tracks, and even some of them they're giving a little bit of a twist on it. So it feels more modernized and a bit of a change up. So I think they're doing Mario Kart 8 Deluxe really well. I'm really happy with it. That's why it's an honorable mention. We're having a lot of fun with friends and family, and it's a great game night game. Last honorable mention is Mario Party Superstars for the Nintendo Switch. By all means, it's not perfect. There's only a handful of boards, which do get a little repetitive to play. I wish they'd add some DLC and add some new boards, but the minigames is where the real fun is. What can I say about this game that you probably don't already know? It's classic Mario Party. Play the boards, play the minigames. I love the fact that they brought back so many classic minigames, all the way from Mario Party 1 up to Mario Party 10, especially Book Squirm from Mario Party 4. I love that minigame. It's so great to see it in a modern Mario Party game. Mario Party Superstars is another great game night game to play with friends and family. That's why it's an honorable mention on today's list. Alright, number 2, Snow Bros. Nick and Tom Special for the Nintendo Switch. If you're a longtime viewer of my channel, you'll know that I love the original Snow Bros. On the NES. It's one of my favorite games ever. Just like Pocky and Rocky, when this game was announced that it was getting remade, I instantly knew I had to get it. This game may seem like an odd choice to be hyped for, but I was incredibly hyped. This was one of my most anticipated games of 2022. I pre-ordered the special collector's edition for this, which hasn't come out yet. Limited run games is being limited run games, and I pre-ordered it back in May, and it's now January, and there's been no shipping updates on it whatsoever. So to tide me over, I did buy this game standalone, just so I could play it. It's basically Snow Bros. Remade. It looks great. They redid the soundtrack as well, updated the graphics, everything. It's like a full, fresh look on the game, but there's more. They added several new modes, and not only does it have the original 50 levels, they added 30 new ones with a total of 80. So yeah, it definitely is a well done remade game. One of the modes that I really enjoy is the monster mode, where you can play as some of the bad guys and play through the entire story, all 80 levels. It's crazy. You know, there's the bats, there's goblins. Like, it's so cool that you can play as the bad guys. Really nice feature. I've been playing this game a ton in 2022, especially with my younger son. He really loves it. He loves the monster mode, how you can play with different guys. That monster mode really breathes fresh life into the game, which you don't mind replaying stages over and over because of all the cool characters you can pick. It's a pretty simple concept. Even non-gamers can pick this game up and play. Like, I've had a couple friends try it out, and they enjoyed it because it is just such a simple concept but fun. And something that's really important to me about gaming is having fun. That's why in today's video you see a lot of games that I say are fun, because gaming should be fun. I don't enjoy games that are crazy hard and no fun, that feels like work. Video games should be a fun pastime, and that's why there's so many fun games on this list. I'm really excited to get the collector's edition in. I will definitely do an unboxing of that when I eventually get it from Limited Run Games. Who knows when that'll be. Realistically, I've probably beaten this game 100 times since it came out in 2022. Yeah, that's a lot, I know. It takes me about 45 minutes to an hour, depending which kid I'm playing with or by myself, to get through the main story of it. But yeah, it's just such a fun game that I don't mind playing over and over and over. That's why Snow Bros. Nick and Tom Special is my number 2 favorite game I played in 2022. Number 1, Pokemon Legends Arceus. Or Arceus, if that's how you say it. I say Arceus, you say Arceus, tomato, tomato, whatever way you say it, this game is amazing. This game is basically compared to Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, which is fair because it's an open world Pokemon game. I spent so much time in this game. This is definitely my most played game of 2022, and for good reason. Whether you're just playing the story, or you're filling the Pokedex, or you're shiny hunting, or you just like to walk around and explore, there is something for everyone in this game. When I first heard about this game, I was like kind of hesitant because, oh, it's based in old times. What are they going to do? I'm always scared when they take new directions of beloved franchises because you never know how it goes. I think their gamble paid off. I enjoyed this game more than Sword and Shield. I find now that it's kind of weird to go back to traditional Pokemon because they did so well with Arceus. Like when I look at Scarlet and Violet, I'm like, oh, they didn't want to carry on the way Arceus was played, so I'm kind of hesitant to start those ones up. The fact that you can literally run around, see wild Pokemon, and throw a ball at it without entering the battle sequence, I think that's awesome. You can go in the battle sequence if you want, but having the option is just great. Gives you a chance to be stealthy and just catch Pokemon when they're unaware. To be honest, I'm a little bummed that they didn't carry this new gameplay over to future Pokemon games like Scarlet and Violet. It went back to the old Sword and Shield traditional way. And I'm not a big fan of changing tradition, but I think what they did with Arceus is just so fantastic that I wish they carried it on. I feel like it's a missed opportunity because they gave us this beautiful open world Pokemon game with a lot of new features that are really great, and then they took it all away and went back to the traditional way. Which I guess is fine because there's so many competitive Pokemon players out there still. But honestly, I've been playing Pokemon since it launched on Red and Blue, and it's nice and refreshing to have a game like this. I'm not into the competition of it anymore. I just want to have fun with games, and Pokemon Legends Arceus is one of the best Pokemon games I've played in years. It's kind of the same thing with Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. That game, the concept was just so much different that I really enjoyed it. And after going from Let's Go to Pokemon Sword and Shield, it's kind of the same deal here. Is they had all these really fun things from Let's Go that weren't in Sword and Shield, and that kind of killed it for me. So dare I say, Pokemon Legends Arceus is the best Pokemon game I've played since Black and White 2. Honestly, I think it is. Maybe aside from Let's Go, I think Let's Go is great, but I still think Arceus is much better. So what I really enjoyed about this game too was post-game, there's so much to do. I went around and I filled the Pokedex. I went around and tried to find alphas of certain Pokemon that I like my Alpha Arcanine. It's the Hisuian version, not quite classic Arcanine. And just real quick, I was kind of scared that they changed Arcanine because Pokemon likes to take old classic Pokemon and do stuff with them. And personally, I think they've ruined a lot of Pokemon over the years. But Arcanine being my favorite Pokemon, I think they did alright with the Hisuian Arcanine. I hate the fact that they made it part rock, but it still looks pretty cool. I can accept it. I'm a stubborn old first-gen Pokemon fan, and they won me over with Arceus, so I can't complain too much. Another thing I want to mention in this post-game is the shiny hunting. I've never been a hardcore shiny hunter in any Pokemon game. I usually go for the ones I really want, like my shiny Umbreon and Yanmega, just shinies I really love. But in this game, I found myself enjoying flying around and searching and exploring and running into random shinies. It's crazy because when I ran into my first shiny, which was a Yanma, which blew my mind because that's one I always want, I didn't even know shinies came out. This game was out for like 2 weeks, and I saw a blue Yanma. I'm like, are you kidding me? Why is it blue? There's shinies in this game? Because nobody had mentioned shinies in this game. Like, I can't explain just how mind-blown I was when I saw a shiny in this game for the first time. And the fact that it was Yanma, which was one of my main shinies I always hunt for, it was meant to be. It was awesome. I did spend several hours trying to grind out shiny Eevees, but I never had any luck, so unfortunately I have the normal Umbreon in this. I always get a shiny Umbreon in the games I play, but man, I just can't get one in this. Those dang Eevees are hard to find. Crazy thing is, when I was recording some footage for this video, I actually ran into a random shiny. Yeah, what are the odds? So you guys can see just how cool it is to see a bunch of Pokemon in a group, like in these outbreaks, and then there's a random shiny. So yeah, I got this shiny nose pass in a mass outbreak just recording footage for this video. I couldn't have asked for better luck while recording. So cool. Honestly, I could ramble on about Pokemon Legends Arceus for another 10-15 minutes. It's just that great of a game, but that'll be way too much. So Pokemon Legends Arceus is hands down my favorite game I played in 2022. Even if you don't like Pokemon, I feel like there's enough in this game to enjoy it. Even if you haven't played a Pokemon game in many years, this game has just got a nice, simple, calming concept to it. I think you can enjoy it. There's nothing quite like exploring and taking your own time, catching Pokemon at your own pace, just breathing in and enjoying the overall environment. Even one of my good friends, Phantom Link, who hasn't played a Pokemon game in years, loved this game. When he told me he was playing through this game, like, really? You're playing a Pokemon game? He's a hardcore, like, Xbox fan. But yeah, he really enjoyed this game. And post-game, the amount of shinies that man found is crazy. He was just grinding out shiny hunting like mad. And I gotta say, it's probably one of his favorite games of 2022 as well, which is saying a lot because he doesn't normally play games like this. So again, give Pokemon Legends Arceus a go. I think you guys will really enjoy it. I know I did. Alright, so those are my favorite games I played in 2022. What are some of your favorite games you played in 2022? Let us know in the comments below. I'm always looking for the next great game to play, so maybe one of your favorites from 2022 will be one of my favorites in 2023. I just want to say, I played a lot of great games in 2022, and I'm looking forward to playing some other great games in 2023. Finally, thanks everyone for watching this video. It was a lot longer than I anticipated, but I wanted to share some great games with you guys, so hopefully you guys can enjoy some of these games in 2023. Alright, that's going to wrap up today's video. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share. I'd really appreciate it. You can follow me on social media. The information is on screen now and in the description below. I want to thank everybody for watching. I am the Console Collector, and until the next video, happy gaming.